Good morning, Ashish. Very good morning. So today we are going to finish the lesson Nelson Mandela. Okay, today we are going to revise the last part of Nelson Mandela. So Ria, good morning. Ashish, you please confirm me whether I am audible properly. Am I audible, Ashish? Please confirm once with the text. Okay, thank you, Ashish. Thank you. Good morning, Lakshman, Bhargavi. So I'm going to begin my lesson, dear students. As you can see here, we have come to the end almost of the lesson. But before that, I would like to also talk about, till some more students join us. Let me talk about, dear students, twin obligations once again. Okay. So dear students, obligations you might be knowing. Obligation means I'm required to do something. Okay, if you are required to do something compulsorily, that is your obligation. Understood? So Nelson Mandela says that every man has twin obligations. Okay, twin means two obligations. Okay, so what are these two obligations? This is very important from exam point of view also, dear students. Okay, this is very important from exam point of view also. So you've got to understand it more intimately. So twin means two. So every man is required to have twin obligation. Okay, so now what are these twin obligations? So this is what we've got to learn. What are these twin obligations? Okay, so you can say twin obligations here refer to the fact that he has obligation for his family. Okay, family includes parents, wife, children. Okay, that is the first obligation that every human being is supposed to have. Okay, and there is another obligation. There is second obligation. So the second obligation is to his community. A man has obligation or liability or responsibility towards his community as well. Community people refers to your neighborhood people belonging to your society, okay, where you live. Okay, so that is another type of obligation. So first obligation is our obligation towards our family, which includes parents, wife and children. He has, that is human beings have another obligation, that is to his people, to his community and to his country also. Understood? So these two sorts of compulsory obligations you've got to learn. Okay, you've got to learn for exam point of view and also from your life point of view also, because we must be responsible. Okay, for our responsible to our family as well as to our community and country as well, because as a responsible citizen we've got to contribute something to the development of our country. So therefore Nelson Mandela speaks on these twin obligations which every human being in a civilized society, every good citizen in a civilized society is supposed to have. Okay, so I explained you once again the meaning of twin obligations. So you please learn this from, your answer should be from here till here. Okay, till here. So you have to learn this. This is a very important question for the examination. Okay, one of the important questions from this lesson as well. So in a civil and humane society, each man is able to fulfill those obligations according to his own inclinations and abilities. So in every civil society, each man can fulfill such obligations. Okay, if there is freedom, if there is no restriction, okay, he can fulfill, of course. But in a country like South Africa, it was almost impossible for a man of my birth and color to fulfill both of these obligations. Nelson Mandela says here in this paragraph that it is very much possible in a civil society, but it was impossible for Nelson Mandela to fulfill both of those obligations because there was some external interruption, okay, interruption in the form of white government, okay, because white government was very much watchful on the progress, or watchful on the black activities of the black community of people. There were a lot of restrictions, therefore it was not possible for Nelson Mandela under the white government to fulfill both those obligations, okay. In South Africa, a man of color who attempted to live as a human being was punished and isolated, okay. So see, such a ruthless form of government, such a cruel government, dear students. In South Africa, a man of color refers to any community of people other than the white people, okay. So what happened, if a man of color was found to be obliging, or obliging some of the rules and regulations, and living an ideal life, then he was separated from his family, from his society, and kept elsewhere as a punishment, okay. That is very narrow-mindedness on the part of the white government. In South Africa, a man who tried to fulfill his duty to his people was inevitably ripped from his family and his home, and was forced to live a life apart, a twilight existence of secrecy and rebellion. So dear students, you see, in South Africa he is giving reference, if a man wanted to fulfill his duty to his people, then he was taken away. Ripped from his family means he was taken away from his family and home, and was forced to live a life elsewhere, okay, separately, and which is referred to as a twilight existence of secrecy and rebellion, okay. So twilight existence of secrecy and rebellion. Secrecy, you must be knowing, it is a twilight existence of secrecy and rebellion. Means you cannot, if a black is found to be adhering to certain rules of their society, or the rules of the black community or or some rules laid down by the black community, which as a tradition they are supposed to follow, then he or she would be ripped apart from his family or her family, and he or she was forced to live a life apart, okay. And this particular lifestyle of living separately from your home and family has been referred to by Nelson Mandela as a life having twilight existence. Twilight existence means, this is not, twilight means what? Twilight is the time when sun has set up, sun has set already, and it's going to be evening. So this particular is going to be dark, okay. So when the sun is set and it's going to be dark, that particular moment, that particular time is called twilight. So here it is used figuratively or metaphorically. The twilight existence means the existence which is very, very dull, okay, the existence which is very dim, the existence which is very dull, okay. So he says that those people who are ripped apart from his family and home, they led a twilight existence of secrecy. Secrecy means they have got to secretly, they have got to be very much in hiding, because they are they might be under the scanner, they are always under the scanner of the white government, therefore they have to do whatever they are supposed to do very secretly. So it was a life of secrecy. And rebellion means rebellion because you are protesting against the injustice and oppression of the white government, so you are involved in rebellion. So those who are protesting against the oppression of the white government are required to live a twilight existence of secrecy and rebellion. Secrecy because they have got to be in hiding, and rebellion because they are protesting against the government. So those who were protesting against the oppression of the white government, they had no right to live in a dignified manner in the society. Understood? They had to live in hiding somewhere, okay, away from their family, away from their community, okay. Okay, next you see, I did not in the beginning choose to place my people above my family, but in attempting to serve my people, I found that I was prevented from fulfilling my obligations as a son, a brother, a father, and a husband. Okay, so initially in the early phase of his career, he did not place people above his family. Means his priority was first his family, then his community, okay, or his society. But when he grew up, he became matured and he thought that he should do something for his country. Then he changed his priority. Then he started giving the society and his community of people his first priority and his family second priority. And as a result of changing his priority, when he decided to join African National Congress, when he decided to fight against the policy of apartheid, then he changed his priority. He gave priority to his society first, and then what did he find? He found that he was preventing from fulfilling his obligation as a son, because it's quite natural, okay, when you join politics, when you fight for a right cause, then you have hardly any time for the family. That is why, because you've got to always remain busy with something or the other, okay, related to your cause, okay, related to your mission, your objective. Therefore, people have hardly any time to meet their family members. Therefore, he said that when he started joining the movement of political movement to put an end to the policy of apartheid, his priority of family took a back seat, okay, because he was not able to give them time. Okay, now let's move on to the next paragraph. Okay, so I was not born with a hunger to be free, I was born free. Okay, he said that when I was born, I did not feel what freedom is, because I was born under freedom. He said that he was born under freedom, there was no such restriction, okay, because his childhood was very much free. In his childhood did not feel any kind of obligation or any kind of bondage, okay, he was completely free. So that is why he is saying, I was not born with a hunger to be free, because he was already born free in every way that I could know. So he has given some instances of the fact that he was free in his childhood: free to run in the fields near my mother's heart, free to swim in the clear stream means small river, that ran through my village, free to roast mealies under the stars and ride the broad backs of slow moving bulls. Okay, like childhood activities of fun and frolic, he was doing completely without any restriction, without any boundary, without any limitation. That is why he said, I was born free, I did not feel the urge to be free, okay, because I was already free. But then he said, as long as I obeyed my father and abided by the customs of my tribe, I was not troubled by the laws of man or God. Dear students, laws of man means as a human being in a society, we are supposed to follow certain rules and guidelines, okay? Because we are a social being and we are living in a society, so we need to follow certain societal norms, okay? We need to comply with the societal norms. So this is the law of man. And law of God means, you might be knowing, like if I am doing something good, then God will reward me, and if I am doing something bad, or if I am indulged in some sort of sins or anything, then God will punish me. That is the law of God, okay? And law of man is the established set of rules established by human beings in the society, okay? So he said that as long as he obeyed his father and abided by the customs of his tribe means of his community of people, okay? As long as he was very much obliging in nature, he obliged his father, obliged the customs of his tribe, there was no trouble for him, neither by man nor by God, okay? But when he gradually grew up and became a man, that time the problem started, because he did not want to live like other human beings, other ordinary human beings. He wanted to do something for the cause of his society, he wanted to do something to liberate his black community from the bondage of the white government. Therefore, there was an increasing urge in him to do something for the cause of his country. Therefore, he had to go against the set of rules laid down by the society. Otherwise, he cannot fight and liberate his country from the policy of apartheid. Therefore, he says that it was only when I began to learn that my boyhood freedom was an illusion, when I discovered as a young man that my freedom had already been taken from me, that I began to hunger for it. Okay. So while he was a child, there was no hunger for freedom, because like every other child, he was able to run in the field, he was able to ride in a particular cart, he was able to do whatever as a child he was supposed to do. Therefore, he did not feel the urge for freedom. But when he gradually became old and he reached his adolescent stage, his adult stage, then he could realize that freedom was just an illusion for him. See, freedom was just an illusion for him. Illusion, you understand, dear students, what is illusion? Illusion means something that appears to be true, but it is in reality not true. That is called illusion. Okay, so when he reached his boyhood, he could realize that freedom was an illusion for him. When I discovered as a young man that my freedom had already been taken from me, that I began to hunger for it. So when he reached his adolescent phase of life, his boyhood adult phase of life, he could realize that he does not have freedom in the real sense of the term. Okay, he might have freedom in his childhood for playing and all that. This is basic freedom he was having. But the real freedom is something what he could realize when he reached his adulthood, and then he could realize that no, I do not have the real freedom which I am supposed to have. Therefore, he started getting hungry for it. Okay, let's find out next. At first, as a student, I wanted freedom only for myself. Okay, so if during his student life in the college, he wanted only the transitory freedom. This is called transitory freedom. So being able to stay out at night, read what I pleased, and go where I chose. Okay. So there are different types of freedoms that Nelson Mandela has mentioned in this lesson, dear students. Okay. So he is saying that first of all, when he was a student, he wanted freedom only for himself. So what is individual freedom, or what is transitory freedom? Transitory freedom refers to your ability or your ability or your freedom of being able to stay out at night. Okay, stay out at night, read what you please, and go where you choose. This is what is called temporary transitory freedom. Okay, which transitory means which is temporary, which is not permanent. That is what is called transitory. Transitory means which is not permanent, which is temporary. Okay, so he said that when he was a student, he was having transitory freedoms, and he did not want to have any kind of other freedom. Okay, because he was very happy with himself. Understood? Therefore, he said, I needed only individual freedom, which is in other words called transitory freedom. Why transitory? Because these freedoms are not permanent in life. Okay. Transitory freedoms of being able to stay out at night, read what I pleased, and go where I chose. Okay, because these are individual freedoms. So individual freedoms are not permanent. Okay, some greater type of freedom is what he is looking for. So let us find out what kind of freedom he is looking for. Later, as a young man in Johannesburg, I yearned for the basic and honorable freedoms of achieving my potential, of earning my keep, of marrying and having a family, the freedom not to be obstructed in a lawful life. Okay, lawful life. Now he is referring to another type of freedom. So first type of freedom is transitory freedom. He has given us example enough. Okay, now he is referring to or shifting to another kind of freedom. So what is this freedom, dear students? This is called honorable, basic and honorable freedom. So what is the basic and honorable freedom? Basic and honorable freedom here refers to the examples like achieving his potential. Okay, whatever he was good at, okay, he wanted to achieve that. That is achieving his potential, of earning my keep, of earning his money, okay, from the society, of marriage, and having a family. So these are the instances of basic and honorable freedoms. So basic and honorable freedoms, dear students, refer to achieving your goal, earning money, marrying and having a family. Okay, so this is basic and honorable freedom, the freedom not to be obstructed, because this is a very basic kind of freedom which cannot be obstructed, or which cannot be restricted in a lawful life, in a civilized life, in a democratic life or a lawful life. This sort of basic and honorable freedom is normally granted to everyone. Okay, it is not restricted from the citizens. Okay, so he said that when I grew up, when I became adult, when I felt like I can earn money, I can fulfill my ambition, then he was yearning for or looking for, okay, he was yearning means he was desperately looking for basic and honorable freedom. Okay, so basic and honorable freedom, he has given certain examples, we have also studied that. Now let's find out next few lines. But then I slowly saw that not only was I not free, but my brothers and sisters were not free. Then he studied and he realized that no, we are not free in the real sense of the term. Okay, so what kind of freedom that Nelson Mandela thinks should every human being in a civilized society must have? Let's find out. Okay, he realized that no, in the real sense of the term, not only me, my brothers and my sisters, nobody are free in the real sense of the term. Okay, let's find out what kind of freedom he is aspiring for. I saw that it was not just my freedom that was curtailed, but the freedom of everyone who looked like I did. Then he said he could realize that okay, it was not just my freedom which was curtailed. Curtailed means reduced. Okay, it is not my freedom only that was reduced, but also the freedom of those people, okay, who was like Nelson Mandela, who wanted to do something for the cause of their community, who wanted to put an end to the policy of apartheid by joining a movement, mass movement. Okay, so those who protested against the policy of the white government and joined in the mass movement of liberating the black community of people from the oppression of the white government was not given or granted any kind of basic freedom also. Understood? So that is when he decided to join African National Congress, and that is when the hunger for my own freedom became the greater hunger for the freedom of my people. Okay. So let me explain you first this one, dear students. Okay. So there is a question which is important. When did Nelson Mandela decide to join the African National Congress? Okay, there can be a question from this. Okay, when did Nelson Mandela decide to join the African National Congress? Okay, then what shall be the answer? The answer should be when Nelson Mandela could realize that it was not just his freedom which was curtailed by the government, but also the freedom of those people who wanted to fight for the cause of their community of people. Then that is when Nelson Mandela decided to join the African National Congress. Okay, and then he says after he joined African National Congress, his hunger for his own freedom became the greater hunger for the freedom of his community. Why? Because suppose I belong to the black community and Nelson Mandela is my leader. In that case, the freedom for Nelson Mandela will be the same as my freedom, or will be equal to my freedom, because we are fighting for the same cause. So if one is getting the freedom after we become successful in our movement, then another will also get the freedom. That is why he says that as Nelson Mandela represents the people of his community, okay, therefore his freedom will be also the freedom of his community of people. Understood? His freedom will also be the freedom of his community of people. Therefore he said that hunger for my own freedom became the greater hunger for the freedom of my community. Understood? And I told you the reason as to why he joined the African National Congress. Okay. Now, let's find out here. It was this desire for the freedom of my people to live their lives with dignity and self-respect that animated my life, that transformed a frightened young man into a bold one, that drove a law-abiding attorney to become a criminal, that turned a family-loving husband into a man without a home, that forced a life-loving man to live like a monk. Okay, so in this in this big sentence, Nelson Mandela here refers to his the changes in his personal life. What happened as a result of his joining African National Congress? What happened? What happened for his involvement into the cause of liberating the black people from the white government? What happened in his personal life? What were the changes that took place in his personal life as a result of his joining African National Congress? That is what we are going to, Nelson Mandela is going to throw light on in this line, in this big sentence. He said that it was the desire for the freedom of my people to live their lives with dignity and self-respect that animated my life. First of all, dear students, you must have some objectives in life. Okay, if you want to do your work, dear students, you need to have some ideas first as to how you should do the work. Only when the idea strikes, then you can plunge into action. Without first your planning, you cannot plunge into action. So whenever Nelson Mandela, when the idea of serving his community of people, serving his own people came in his mind, popped up in his mind, only then he decided to join the African National Congress. So that is important. First of all, your idea is important. First of all, your planning is important. First of all, your attitude towards serving, your mindset about serving the people is important. So whenever he developed the right kind of mindset to serve his people, okay, then he decided to do something greater for his people, and as a result he joined African National Congress. And then he said he wanted to let people of his community live life with dignity and self-respect, and that is what has animated his life. He said, and that has become the sole purpose of my life. That animated my life means that has become the sole purpose of my life. Understood? That transformed a frightened young man into a bold one. Then he was a frightened young man initially, okay, in his early adulthood, early boyhood, but when he became, when he decided to serve his community, serve his people, then gradually he tried to give up his fear, and then ultimately he became a bold person, okay, from a frightened young man into a bold person. So these are some of the personal changes that took place in Nelson Mandela, which he is going to share with us, okay. That drove a law-abiding attorney. He was an attorney general, okay, or he was a student of law, okay. Law was his profession before, okay. So therefore he said that made a law-abiding attorney to become a criminal, okay. Criminal, because if you want to go against the government, if you want to fight for the greater cause of your people, in that case, dear students, you got to sometimes go against the policy of the government, okay. That is why he said, from a very humble and law-abiding attorney, I became a criminal afterwards, okay. Criminal in the sense that, not in the real sense of the criminal, but criminal in the sense that he had to disobey certain rules laid down by the white government, okay. Because when you are going against the government, when you are going against the policy of the government, in that case you have to disobey the policies of the government, and then he said you are a criminal in the eyes of the government, okay. So from the eyes of the government he might have become a criminal, okay, but he is not a criminal from the real sense of the term, because he was fighting for a greater cause, for the upliftment of his society, for the upliftment of his own community of people. that turned a family-loving husband into a man without a home. Because if you are a dedicated or devoted, a devoted patriot, in that case, you have hardly any time to put aside or keep aside for your family. You have hardly any time to devote to your family, because you are so very much busy on a day in and day out basis. Therefore, it's not possible for you to devote your valuable time to your family. That is what he is referring to here. He is saying that turned a family-loving husband into a man without a home. Okay, that forced a life-loving man to live like a monk. Okay, live like a monk refers to the fact that he used to live in secrecy. He used to live in isolation, like the monk lives. Okay, a monk, or in Indian context, sannyasi. Sannyasi है ना, sannyasi. So a sannyasi or a monk is supposed to live a life of life of separation and seclusion. Okay, so as he was fighting against the government, he was fighting for a greater cause. Therefore, from a life-loving man, he had to live like a monk. Okay, always in hiding, always in secrecy, always in isolation. Okay, so this is what he refers to here by living like a monk. Okay, living like a monk refers to his way of living life in seclusion, in isolation. Okay, in hiding. So this is what is the meaning of living like a monk. I am no more virtuous, he says, I am no more virtuous or self-sacrificing than the next man, but I found that I could not even enjoy the poor and limited freedoms I was allowed when I knew my people were not free. So he said that Nelson Mandela was having basic honorable freedom or the basic freedom, but he thought that his objective was something different. He thought that whenever my own people, my community of people are not having adequate freedom, then my freedom does not make any difference. I am not satisfied with simply my basic freedom when thousands of my community people, lakhs of my community people, okay, are going to bed without food, okay, were having no proper clothes to wear, no proper place to live. So that is when he thought that no, my basic freedom does not matter as long as my own community of people are not having the same freedom as I am. So in order to ensure the basic freedom to his community of people, he decided to join politics, and he decided to fight for a greater cause of liberating his people from the deprivation. Deprivation means being deprived from basic right to have food, or from deprivation from having a place to live, or deprivation from what is that called, right to speech and expression. Okay, so he wanted to ensure basic and honorable freedom for his own people. Therefore, he thought that whenever his people will achieve the basic and honorable freedom, that is when he will have freedom in the real sense of the term. So Nelson Mandela is like Mahatma Gandhi in our country. Okay, he always fought for the cause of the upliftment of the poor people, and so that is the reason as to why Nelson Mandela was not at all satisfied by having his basic and honorable freedom. He wanted to ensure that his people also have the basic and honorable freedom that Nelson Mandela was having. Okay, therefore he said, when I knew my people were not free. So if his people were not free, then Nelson Mandela thought that he was also not free. Freedom is indivisible. Okay, the chains, see, he is now explaining here, freedom is indivisible, okay, which cannot be divided. The chains on any one of my people were the chains on all of them. Okay, and the chains on all of my people were the chains on me. Dear students, very important sentence, very important sentence. Please do pay attention to this particular sentence. It's a very important sentence. Okay, so he says that chains on any one of my people were the chains on all of them. The chains on all of my people were the chains on me. So first of all, he says that if any one person of my community, or not my, let me tell you, he says that if any person of his community was not having the basic freedom, chains here refers to, it's used figuratively here, metaphorically here, it means freedom, okay, bondage you can say. Chains on any one of my people means if any one person from his community was having bondage, okay, having the burden of bondage, having the burden of limitation, okay, having not having freedom, it means nobody in his community of people is not having the freedom. And if nobody in his community is not having the freedom, then Nelson Mandela himself also has no amount of freedom. Understood? So he was basically focused in uplifting the status of his community of people. He was trying to liberate the community of his people, okay, his own community from the deprivation of poverty, deprivation of suffering, deprivation of basic rights, okay. Therefore he thought that if any one person of my community has chains on him, it means entire community is having chains on them, and it means I am having chains on myself, because I also represent my community. So if they are having problem, it means I am also having problem. So this is the meaning of this line. And chains here figuratively means bondage, not having freedom of expression, not having any kind of freedom. The word chains means what? I am chained. It means what? I have no right to move around. I am restricted. The chains means bondage or restriction. So if there is restriction on any one people of my community, it means there is restriction. Rule is same for everyone. Therefore, if any one of my community is having chains, everyone else in my community is also having chains, and if everyone else is having chains on them, it means I am also having chains on me, because I represent my community. Now you see, I knew that the oppressor must be liberated just as surely as the oppressed. Mandela says that oppressor must be liberated just as surely as the oppressed. Dear student, these lines are also difficult. Please be extra attentive. Please be extra focused. Okay. Nelson Mandela means to say, yeah, okay. First of all, let me tell you the meaning of oppressor here. So, what is the meaning of oppressor, dear students? Here, oppressor here, a person who oppresses others. That is, here the white government is the oppressor here, and the black community of people is the oppressed. Oppressed means people who are undergoing oppression, okay, oppression or suffering, okay. People who are undergoing suffering or misery are called oppressed, and the people who are inflicting pain and suffering to others are called oppressor. So in the context of the story, oppressor refers to the white government and oppressed refers to all the blacks community of South Africa. Okay. So dear students, here Nelson Mandela says that not only is the oppressed who needs to be liberated, but also the oppressor. Who is the oppressor here? The white government. Why oppressor needs to be liberated? Oppressor is already free. Let me tell you, oppressor needs to be liberated from his poor mentality, from his narrow thinking. Okay, it's because of narrow thinking on their part they are inflicting suffering on the black people. So oppressor is also not liberated. Liberation does not mean only ability to do whatever you like. This is not only liberation. Liberation is also mental liberation. Okay, if you are very much broad-minded, if you are liberal, if you are kind-hearted, if you are generous, if you are sympathetic, then you have the real freedom of the mind. Otherwise, mentally you are also oppressed. Okay, so freedom does not necessarily mean freedom to express your views and opinions, freedoms to move around everywhere as you like, freedoms to do whatever you like. No, freedom can also be referred to as the ability of a person to liberate his mind from narrow thinking, prejudices. Okay, this is also freedom. So oppressor is having physical freedom, but oppressor is not having the mental freedom. They have become the victims of narrow thinking. They are the victims of prejudice. That is why Nelson Mandela says that the mentality, the sick mentality of the white government should also be liberated. They are also not free from the real sense of the term. So let's find out what kind of explanation he gives. He says, a man who takes away another man's freedom is a prisoner of hatred. Okay, he is locked behind the bars of prejudice and narrow-mindedness. Exactly what I just told you, dear students. A person who is taking away another man's freedom is a prisoner of hatred. Okay, prisoner of hatred. He is locked behind the bars of prejudice. Why he is a prisoner? Because he is a prisoner of hatred. Why he is a prisoner of hatred? Because he has certain bent of mind for which he is taking away the freedom of other people. So narrow thinking. So he is a prisoner of narrow thinking. Means hatred, discrimination, prejudice, and narrow-mindedness. Okay, he is victim of all this. A person who is taking away the freedom of others is a victim of narrow-mindedness, prejudice, selfishness, hatred. Therefore, he is also not liberated. He has become the prisoner of hatred. He has become the prisoner of prejudice. He has become the prisoner of discrimination. Therefore, he has to be liberated from his narrow-mindedness. Okay, an oppressor needs to be liberated from his narrow-mindedness. He needs to be liberated from his prejudice, from his selfishness. Okay, that is what Mandela says here. A man who takes away another man's freedom is a prisoner of hatred. He is locked behind the bars of prejudice. Okay, bars of prejudice. It is said metaphorically, dear students. Locked behind the bars. Behind the bars, तो you understand ना बेटे? Prison को बोलते हैं behind the bars. Prison. Okay, prisons को हम लोग lock behind the bars बोलते हैं in English. So behind the bars मतलब बोल रहे हैं कि prejudice and narrow-minded का जो prison है उसके अंदर वो कैदी है actually. Okay, कैदी. Okay, so an oppressor is the prisoner. Okay, behind the bars of prejudice and narrow-mindedness. इसलिए वो भी लिबरेट नहीं है वो. ओके, वो नैरो माइंडेडनेस का शिकार है वो. ओके, दैट इज व्हाई दिस नैरो माइंडेडनेस प्रेजुडिस हैज बीन कंपेयर्ड टू ए प्रिजन. ओके, प्रिजन के साथ कंपेयर किया गया है नैरो माइंडेडनेस को. तो बोल रहे हैं कि नैरो माइंडेड द प्रिजनर इज द ऑपरेसर इज द प्रिजनर ऑफ नैरो माइंडेडनेस एंड प्रेजुडिस, हेट्रेड एटसेट्रा. Because he is locked behind the bars of prejudice and narrow-mindedness. Therefore, the oppressor also needs to be liberated. Understood? Oppressor also needs to be liberated from the prison of oppression, prejudice, narrow-mindedness and hatred. Next, I am not truly free if I am taking away someone else's freedom, just as surely as I am not free when my freedom is taken away from me. Okay, so here both the ways people are not free. Here the white government has taken away the freedom of the black people. Therefore Mandela says here that white people are also not free in the real sense of the term, because they have taken away somebody else's freedom. Okay, as surely as the black community of people whose freedom has been snatched by the white people. So those who have taken away the freedom of others as well as those whose freedom has been taken away from them are both not having freedom. Okay, are not free. One is not free like the white government, or the oppressor is not free from the prison of oppression, prison of prejudice and narrow-mindedness. On the other hand, the oppressed or the black community of people are also not free because their freedom has been taken away by the oppressor. Understood? So next you see the oppressed and the oppressor alike are robbed of their humanity. Yes. Okay. Oppressed means here the black community of people, and the oppressor means the white government. So both oppressor and the oppressed are robbed of, they are deprived of basic human qualities or humanity. Okay, they are robbed of their humanity. Why they are robbed of their humanity? Because the oppressor has taken away the basic freedom of the oppressed. Therefore, they have taken away the basic human rights of the oppressed people. Okay, and the oppressed are not having the right of expression, right of dignified living. They have been deprived of many things in life. Therefore, they are also robbed of humanity. Understood? So both the oppressed and the oppressor are both are robbed of their humanity. Okay, so that's all about this, and that's how the poem comes to an end. The story comes to an end. So dear students, we have just 2-3 minutes left. So can you please let me know if you have any query. If you have any query regarding what I have discussed with you today, you can go ahead and ask me questions. I'm there to resolve your query. Okay. Dear students, in my next class I am going to discuss with you some grammar questions. We shall revise some grammar topics in my next class, so please be there compulsorily at 11 o'clock. Okay, so the next class, that is on Tuesday, I am going to revise 2 topics of grammar which I am going to, and the type of questions that I am going to give you for the test. Next class lesson will be purely grammar lesson. Okay, grammar lesson. And in the meanwhile, if you have any doubt regarding any chapter, any question, any sentence from any of the lesson of your syllabus, kindly do send your queries through the chat option of my website. Okay, through the chat forum, because this chat is kept for you and you alone to communicate with me. Okay, so as soon as you communicate to me through the chat on my website, the message will come to me on my mail, as well as I get the notification. Therefore, I shall immediately, if not immediately, at least within a day, I shall certainly respond to your query. It could be any answer, it could be the meaning of anything, or it could be any query related to your examination. Okay, so I request you to kindly log on to my website, and through the chat option you communicate to me all your queries, and I shall reply you within 24 hours. Okay, if I am free, immediately I will reply you, or otherwise I shall reply you, and whenever I shall reply you, it will also go to your mail ID as well as in the chat box. Okay, so you please communicate with me, because I shall have live interaction with you next Tuesday only. Okay, so that's all for the day, dear students. Thank you, Omkar, Vinita, Mridula, Neeraj, all of you, those who are present till the end. Thank you so much, Laxman as well. Bye bye, dear students. Take care. Ramanshu, thank you so much.